Hi, I'm Adler, one of the co-founders of Comake, and welcome to KnowledgeOS. So after installing a browser extension, you'll notice that this pinned tab gets added to any browser window you have open. That's what we call the Comake Home tab. And here on the left, you have the dock. That's similar to the dock on your Mac or the start bar on your Windows. Up at the top of the dock are some basic navigation items. The Open Now section shows you any browser windows you currently have open. And the pinned section is where you get to customize what context and apps show up here. Now we'll get into context in a second, but for apps, a blue dot will show up next to any apps you have open in the browser. So here I have GitHub and Dropbox Paper open, so you see blue dots next to those. And when I click on an app in the dock, I get a menu centered around that app. So here it shows me any tabs I have open to that app and all the rest of my browsing history for that app going back the past couple of weeks. So this is all Dropbox Paper stuff. On the left, I get some other options and settings and shortcuts. So I can click to close that menu. Now, in the middle of the screen, I see information about my current browser window. So I have 8 tabs, and those are all listed right here. I can click to jump into them, drag to reorder them, click to close them, and much more. KnowledgeOS automatically saves any browser window I open and the tabs associated with it. So let's jump into something I was working on earlier. If I click on Windows and Contexts, I can scroll down to this recently opened browser windows section, which shows me a window with 5 tabs that I had open earlier today and other windows from the last couple of weeks. So I click Enter to switch to that other set of 5 tabs. And you'll notice my tabs got switched out. Those 8 tabs I had open before were switched out, and here now I have these 5 open. And these 5 tabs, I was doing some research related to metrics. And this is actually something I want to come back to later, and I think I'll be working on a lot. So I want to turn it into a context. Now, context is the main organizational tool on KnowledgeOS. It's best organized around a project, client, team, or research objective. So here, let's call this metrics. And let's give it an icon, maybe this graph, and click Create. So now that this is a context, I see that name and icon over here in the dock and up here at the top of the page. And I can click Open Tabs and see that same list of open tabs. So whenever I come back to this context, those same 5 tabs will open back up. So I can jump over to the dashboard, and the dashboard is a place where I can add notes and save links to come back to for later. So let's actually get into a context I was working on earlier that already has stuff in the dashboard, this semantic web thing that I was researching. So I click Enter to open it, and you'll notice when I switch contexts, my tabs got switched out. So the tabs related to metrics closed, and the tabs that I last had open when I last worked on semantic web got opened. Now here in the dashboard of semantic web, you'll see a note that I added that I can click on and edit. And these are just quotes I copied from a bunch of different web pages. And this research section where I saved some links that are kind of like bookmarks, right? If I click on any one of these, it'll just jump to it or open it up. And I can go back to the Comake Home tab. So let's say that I want to add something to this dashboard. Let's say that I want to add this Twitter link to this dashboard. So all I have to do is click Option Space while I'm looking at Twitter. And that opens up what we call Comake Navigator. Now, Comake Navigator is similar to Spotlight Search on a Mac, that it helps you search through all your browser history, your contexts, your open tabs, your apps, and shortcuts within your apps. So here, when I first open Navigator over my tab, it shows me a menu related to that tab. So a little card showing me what I'm viewing, and some options to close the tab, to save it, to copy the URL, send it, and I can see things related to Twitter because I'm currently viewing Twitter and related to my current context. Now I can type save and click Enter on this first option to save this web page. And I can choose a title for it. Let's say I don't want all this quoted stuff at the end here. I want to put it into my semantic web context, and I want to choose a section. Let's call it Discussion. And I click Enter to select that name. And click Enter again to save it. And I get a little confirmation down here saying it was saved. So now whenever I go back to my dashboard, you'll see that section called Discussion and that link that I just saved. So if I ever close that link, it's always here for me to come back to, right? So now that link that I closed is not part of the tabs associated that are always going to reopen with this semantic web context. So if I switch to metrics, right, it reopens those 5 tabs that I had related to metrics. And then I go back to semantic web, and it's only opening those 4 tabs because I closed that Twitter tab. But that Twitter tab is always here on the dashboard for me to come back to. So I can just click to reopen it. Now, there's a whole lot more I can do with Navigator. Like, for example, I click Option Space again, and I want to search for stuff in Twitter. When I search, my results are always contextual based off of where I am. So up at the top in the results section, I'm seeing a lot of results that are links on Twitter. But down in suggestions, I'm getting suggestions from other apps that are relevant to my search. And you'll notice when I have Navigator open, it also always shows the dock over here on the left. And that's the same dock as appears on the KnowledgeOS Home tab. So it's a quick and easy way to look at my metrics context, and I see all the open tabs that I had related to metrics, etc. So there's a whole lot more you can do with Navigator, and I'd love for you to explore it and ask us questions. And so if you have any questions or feedback that you want to give us, there's this help button down here in the bottom left-hand page of the screen at all times. You can click to chat with us on Discord, give us an email, open the Help Center, which is where we have a lot of useful guides and resources, or give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.